Today I'm going to be tasting 3 silver tequilas from 2 different brands and 1 parent company. The first product is going to be the El Jimador Silver. Here's what the bottle looks like. Now this is the current packaging, but the brand's about to have a brand new packaging, and I'll talk more about this product here in a second. The next product is going to be the Herradura Blanco, and here's what the packaging looks like. And again, I'll get into the details here in a second. And now the Herradura Blanco is not to be confused with the third product, which is the Silver. So same brand, stylistically very different, 2 different price points. Again, I'll talk through all the details in a second. The goal of this video is to taste through all 3 of these products, explain to you how they're different, and then I'm going to be referencing the official tasting notes from the brand, compare those tasting notes to what I think these products taste like, and then I'm going to be comparing the average retail price in my market and let you guys know if these products are worth the money. And I'll also explain who is the target drinker for each of these products, because in my opinion, I believe the El Jimador Silver is for a more novice or entry level tequila drinker. The Herradura Silver is perhaps a more intermediate tequila drinker, and then the Herradura Blanco is for your more advanced tequila drinker or your more nerdy agave spirits drinker. All right, let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Brown-Forman is the parent company for many of the most popular American whiskey brands. Brands like Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey, Old Forester Kentucky Bourbon, and Woodford Reserve Kentucky Bourbon. But very few people know that this American spirits giant owns 2 different tequila brands. That's El Jimador and Herradura. Now, you'll often hear Herradura anglicized as Herradura. It's a tricky word for English speakers, especially Americans, because you have the silent H and the double rolled R. Again, you'll hear this referred to as Herradura, but the H is silent, and you won't often hear people say hola. You'll hear people say hola. For the sake of this video, I'm going to try to pronounce the Spanish pronunciation as best as possible. That means a silent H and the double rolled R. So instead of Herradura, that's going to be Herradura. Both the El Jimador and Herradura brands are produced at Casa Herradura, which is the last tequila producing hacienda in Mexico. I think it's important to define what legally makes something an hacienda, because it's a word we hear quite a bit, especially here in the United States, but very few people know that there are legal parameters defining something as a genuine hacienda. To be considered an authentic hacienda, the building or property must have been built between the 18th and 19th centuries and include a main house, chapel, and casco, or a courtyard or central area, land extensions, housing for workers, and self-sufficient livestock or agriculture. So for the purposes of Casa Herradura, the agricultural product that they are producing in this case is tequila. The hacienda and the brand Herradura have a long history, and I usually try to shy away from using the word authentic, especially when talking about tequila, because, you know, what exactly is authentic? And, you know, lots of people like to manipulate the term or the perception of authenticity, you know, for their own marketing purposes. So I'm actually going to skip walking through the long history of the property and the brand. I made a completely standalone video talking about the brand, going into a bit more detail about the history. Now, this is one of my earlier videos. Perhaps the delivery and the filming is a bit more simple and a bit more basic, but all the information is there. And what I want to focus on for this video is the tasting component about these 3 products, explaining how they're different, talk about the tasting notes, talk about the pricing. But before I get into the tasting component, I am going to briefly talk through the production process for both brands. The brand is sourcing 100% blue weather agave with no added sugar. Casa Herradura maintains millions of agave plants carefully harvested once they have reached peak maturity. The distillery is located in Amatitan, in the state of Jalisco, which is not far from the historic town of Tequila. The agave is grown in the volcanic lowland region of Amatitan, where the agave grows is important as the flavor takes on the characteristic of the soil. Tequila Herradura's signature taste is a classic example of lowland-style tequila, spicy, herbaceous, and complex. It's important to recognize that all the agaves are hand-harvested by jimadores, which are these skilled agricultural workers that specialize in harvesting agave. Unlike much of the other industrial agricultural world, the nature of agave does not lend itself to mechanical harvesting. All agave harvested for tequila is still hand harvested by jimadors, which is a very, very skilled and very, very impressive occupation. And they use these things. They use these tools called coas, which are these. I'll put a picture up on the screen, but they're these very, very, very sharp tools where it has a flat, rounded, almost like spade. That these things are razor sharp, and in the hands of an experienced jimador, watching them harvest a fully mature agave plant and trim it all the way down and get it prepped, ready to be shipped to the distillery for processing and for baking is very, very impressive to watch. And if you've never seen this, I highly recommend going on YouTube and checking out some videos. There's lots and lots of videos of jimadors harvesting agave. The agave is harvested by jimadors who patiently wait 7 to 8 years on average for the plant to become perfectly ripe. So the core of the agave plant, once the jimador using their coa has trimmed off all the bits that are unneeded, that plant, or the core of the agave plant, looks like a pineapple, so the term piña is used. My notes here touch on what a coa is. So the coa, or C-O-A, is the jimador's tool for harvesting the piñas. It is a curved, sharpened blade on a long wooden handle. The process requires both skill and strength from the jimadors. So when it comes to cooking the agave piñas, this is where El Jimador and Herradura, the brands, split in different directions. Herradura is still a super premium, traditionally made tequila. So the piñas are going to be cooked in traditional brick ovens. So every day, the harvested agave is hand stacked into traditional clay ovens, which can hold up to 40 tons of agave. The agave is slowly steamed for up to 26 hours until the starches are turned into sugars and then cooled in the ovens for an additional 9 hours. El Jimador is going to be cooking the agaves using autoclaves. And the reason for that is they are trying to hit a very specific entry-level price point. When it comes to the brands El Jimador and Herradura, they are made completely the same way, except for the way the agave piñas are cooked. Now, obviously, the way the agave piñas are cooked is very, very important in shaping the final flavor profile. But when you talk about two different price points, Herradura is almost double the price of El Jimador, and the cost savings nature of that comes from using those autoclave ovens. There is a lot of conversation around autoclave versus traditional ovens when it comes to cooking agaves for tequilas. Mostly it has to do with what type of price point you're trying to hit, and ultimately the flavor profile that will result from that. Herradura has been around for a long time, and they have made their tequilas in a very traditional method for a long, long time. And someone from the brand told me that a lot of the employees that make that brand at the time could not afford to drink it because it was a more expensive, super premium tequila. That is why they created the product El Jimador, to be perhaps a more inclusive price point that could cater to the everyday working individual and give them a pretty good bang for your buck tequila at an affordable price. And then, of course, if you have the financial means, then you can always trade up to the fully traditionally made super premium brand. On to milling. So after the oven, the cooked agave is milled twice. This produces a rich, sweet liquid known as agave nectar, or mosto, which is pre-fermented juice that will later create tequila. On to fermentation. Casa Herradura uses a 100% natural fermentation process. Over 16 different species of fruit trees exist on the Hacienda grounds and add their own unique strain of airborne yeast to open fermentation tanks. You don't often hear people talk about natural fermentation in the tequila industry. This is something that's very common in mezcal, but because of the kind of large-scale commercial nature of the tequila industry, this is basically unheard of. Most distilleries are inoculating their mosto with a commercial yeast strain in order to have consistent and reliable fermentation, and then once you convert all those sugars into alcohol, then you will later distill that product into tequila. Herradura and also El Jimador, they're using open top fermentation tanks, and they're allowing the kind of terroir of their production facility, and again, they're highlighting the vast diversity of citrus trees that exist on the property, and the kind of unique yeast strains that those will generate. Again, remember, there's yeast everywhere. There's airborne airborne yeast is everywhere. That natural airborne yeast will inoculate those open top fermentation tanks. By always fermenting your product in the same spot, you will have consistency, but it will create a more interesting degree of complexity. This is perhaps something that can be argued. What I'm going to call natural fermentation is going to create a degree of complexity that you cannot get through commercial yeast. This is going to help shape a truly unique flavor profile. Next is distillation. Distillation takes place twice. You have the separation of the heads and the tails, which are these, which contain these unwanted compounds, and only the best alcohol for a better quality product that preserves its complex flavor is kept. They're separating the heads and the tails, which contains these compounds in the alcohol that are unwanted, and they're only keeping the heart or the center cut of the distillate, which is going to be only the best alcohol for a better quality product that preserves its complex flavor. What type of stills might they be using, you ask? So they're going to be using pot stills. Casa Herradura uses traditional alembic stills, also known as pot stills, to help retain each flavor note. So no column distillation. Each batch of tequila is meticulously reviewed by a panel of tequila experts to ensure it's up to the brand's world-renowned standards. And the iconic horseshoe logo on the front is hand applied to every bottle. All right, the first product I'm going to talk about is El Jimador Silver, and I'll show you this packaging. But don't get too attached. This has been their packaging for a while. You can see that CH logo for Casa Herradura. Again, the brand plans to do a major package change for the El Jimador brand. I'll put pictures up on the screen of what the new packaging looks like. It looks really, really good. Like really, really good. Not that I dislike the current packaging, but it's going to be a huge improvement and really help kind of premiumize the brand. El Jimador, an authentic Mexican brand established in 1996 that is one of the top 10 largest tequila brands in the world by volume. El Jimador was born with the idea of making premium 100% agave tequila available for the masses. It's approachable, premium, and the perfect tequila for any cocktail. All right. Got a brand new bottle here. Let's taste it. I'm going to be reading the official tasting notes from the brand. There's no aging on this product, so you can see it's what we would call water white. The color is crystal clear, and the aroma is sweet agave, crisp citrus with herbal undertones. Ooh, whoa, for this price point, this has a really nice nose. And I would say sweet agave and crisp citrus is very accurate. Maybe I can get the herbal undertones, or maybe it's just subjective, but I'm definitely getting that sweet agave and crisp citrus just really jumps out of the glass. And I'm surprised this has such a nice nose for this price point. See, the taste on the palate is described as lemon and lime zest, orange peel, agave, and a hint of spice. All right, let's give it a try. Ooh, God, that is a good flavor. We'll talk about price here in a second, but lemon lime zest, a lot of lemon lime zest. Agave, I don't know if I'm getting a hint of spice. I would definitely say like lemon lime zest, maybe there's a little orange in there, and then that undertone is really agave. And there's some weight to this, but it still finishes pretty clean. But it's not without flavor. I mean, there's some complexity here, and it's very pleasant on the palate. Again, this is bottled at 80 proof for 40% ABV. This is the first sip of spirits I've had today. So, of course, I want my mouth to warm up to the alcohol. But even on that first sip, I'm already getting some good flavors, very pleasant flavors, very enjoyable. There's no harshness. There's no booziness. There's no graininess. There's no, like, sometimes for more entry-level tequilas, if they are not using fully ripe agave, you can kind of tell, especially if for the silvers that are not barrel aged, and that kind of underripe herbaceousness comes through, but there's none of that with this. Let's revisit it for a second sip. I would say second sip, not a huge change, very similar to that initial sip. Lemon lime zest, maybe a little orange peel, definitely good agave flavor. And I'm not quite getting that hint of spice. I wonder by that if they mean that kind of pepperiness that you sometimes get from silver tequilas. I'm not quite getting this. I would say lemon, lime zest, very dominant flavor. It's very clean. I feel like this is a very pleasant, approachable flavor profile. I feel like this flavor profile paired with the pricing, I know we'll talk about pricing here in a second, would lend itself perfectly to tequila cocktails and simple tequila mixed drinks, which I know is exactly the goal of this particular product. Oh, and the finish is clean and warm with soft, citrusy aftertones. Very accurate. Clean, some nice soft warmingness, and then it's got a short finish, but you know that might be expected from this particular price point, but good, just citrus flavor. Very pleasant. That's really good. I mean, I've drank this brand for years, but it's been a while since I've revisited it straight up, and I'm still impressed. I think for the price point, this is very nice. Speaking of pricing, let me check the average retail price in my market. So let's see, a 750 milliliter bottle of the El Jimador Silver is going to retail somewhere between $23 and $25. So between $23 and $25, I definitely think this product is worth the money. Now, who's this product for? This product would be absolutely perfect for anybody that's just getting into tequila. Say maybe historically, maybe especially in college, you drank a lot of mixto tequila, cheap, value, bottom shelf tequila, and you've perhaps are now interested in revisiting tequila and kind of upgrading the products that you historically drank. So I think El Jimador would be an excellent option for any novices to tequila. I think it would be an incredible option for anyone that wants just a good bang for your buck cocktail tequila. Say you're going to be hosting a big party and you want to perhaps batch some margaritas, or you're going to be making a bunch of tequila drinks for a big group. I think this would be a fantastic product for the price for those mixed drinks. So again, El Jimador, I think, is a perfect product for tequila newbies and novices, or anyone that wants a great bang for your buck, cost-effective cocktail tequila. And this is where you get that iconic square bottle. Horseshoe logo, embossed glass for that CH, Casa Herradura. Embossing on the back. There's your brand information. So if you've seen Herradura Silver and Herradura Blanco in the market, your first question is, what the heck is the difference between these two products? Okay, put very simply, Herradura Blanco is bottled at 92 proof or 46% ABV and is bottled without any barrel aging, so unaged silver tequila, versus the silver is bottled at 80 proof or 40% ABV and is barrel aged for 45 days, which still allows it to be called a silver tequila and not, you know, we haven't quite bumped up into that reposado classification. But what that's going to do is that's going to change the flavor profile. You know, that little time in barrel is going to soften the edges of that tequila. It's going to slightly change the color, impart just the most subtle barrel flavors. And that 80 proof or 40% ABV is going to be the more common alcohol levels that customers are used to. And I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but it's very clear in person. This is not water white. This is just the lightest pale straw color. So again, this I can just tell it's not really showing up on camera. You can already see when you put this product side by side with the Blanco that that 45 days in barrel is going to impart some color. And again, it's very faint. I wouldn't say it's gold. The straw is often the color that is used to describe this. And that 45 days in barrel, those barrels I've been told are a light toast, light char. So again, they want a very slight, subtle minimum influence on the tequila. Brown-Forman, being an American whiskey company, they're all about the barrels. Jack Daniel's, Old Forester, Woodford Reserve. This is a company that for the longest time operated their own cooperages. and was very, very proud of the barrels that they produce themselves for their own products. So it should be absolutely no surprise that when it comes to their tequilas, they're also going to specialize in barrels, and they're going to highlight their barrels, and the barrels are going to be a big selling point for their products, and they're going to have a ton of influence on the final flavor profile of that product. The aroma is going to be described as robust, full of fruit and cooked agave, pulling in vanilla and slightly woody notes from the barrel. I would say that cooked agave fruit flavor is still your dominant flavor, but that vanilla barrel is very subtle, but it's like a supporting flavor. And if you're looking for it, it's there, but it's not the dominant flavor. You know, as you start getting in the reposado and especially the añejo, you're gonna get a more barrel dominated flavor profile on the nose and the palate. But this is still very agave forward, but it just has that kind of undertone of barrel. Let's see, the color is described as light straw from the barrel it's aged in, and the taste is described as distinctly sweet agave, mellowed slightly by the woody notes of the oak barrel. Let's give it our first sip. Sweet agave, very agave forward. And again, there's just that, I don't know if I describe it as woody. There's that little something extra that just kind of supports the agave, and it's there. But that sweet agave flavor, I really think that wood, like as I described it earlier, is rounding out those agave flavors. Certain agave flavors in tequila can be very sharp, and they can be very linear and sharp, almost peppery or sometimes herbaceous. And this is all oven roasted sweet agave flavors that have, in any kind of sharp edges, have been just kind of rounded out by that flavor and barrel. So let's give it a second sip and see if it changes. Not boozy at all. That 80 proof or 40% ABV is very well integrated. Again, distinctly sweet agave. That's all I'm getting is sweet agave. I'm not even quite getting the woody notes, but I can just, having just tried 2 unaged tequilas, I can just tell there's a little something extra there. And the finish is described as leaves your mouth feeling smooth and refreshed, finishing while invigorating warmth. This definitely has a very pleasant, warming feeling and is very enjoyable to drink. And this product, I think, lives perfectly in that sweet spot in the middle of my spectrum. So we talked about the novice with El Jimador Silver. We talked about your advanced drinker with Herradura Blanco. And then Herradura Silver. I mean, I think it lives right in the middle. I mean, because of the price point, you're perhaps still catering to, you know, a super premium tequila drinker. But that flavor profile, it's very enjoyable. It's very pleasant. I feel like it's very inclusive to all drinkers. I mean, I feel like whether you are up-leveling your tequila from novice to perhaps more experienced, or you're already a tequila drinker, I feel like this is a product that is a perfect fit for everyone. I have a special place in my heart for this product because when I graduated uni, I was gifted a bottle of Herradura Silver, and it was the first time I'd ever drank tequila that wasn't super cheap, mixto tequila, you know, in college. And this just completely opened my eyes to what tequila could be. I've been a tequila drinker ever since, and it's because of Herradura Silver. And this product is very, very tasty, and it's very, very enjoyable. So let's talk about pricing. Okay, a 750 milliliter of this product retails in my market somewhere between $45 and $49. So we're still under $50. Do I think this product is worth it? I really do. I think this product is so tasty. And the fact that you're getting a product under $50 with this kind of production transparency, this kind of brand history, and I mean, no one is putting their silver tequila in barrel. And to have a product that is slightly barrel aged, but still not a reposado is so cool and so different. And this is the only brand that's doing that. I love that they're kind of giving you both options now. You kind of have that yin and yang. If you want high proof tequila, unaged, but with all the same high quality production, you can have the Herradura Blanco. If you want something that is perhaps approachable for all palates, and just very enjoyable, then the Silver is going to be your product. And again, I'm a huge fan of the brand. I love everything they do. I've said for a long time, I'm a Brown-Forman fanboy. I love almost everything that this company puts out. And I've been drinking this brand. I've been drinking both these brands for a long, long time. And so I think the Silver is a perfect option for your intermediate tequila drinker. All right, the next product is the Herradura Blanco. Previously only available in Mexico, now available in the United States. This is a product that is bottled unaged. When I talk about the Herradura Silver, you'll understand why that's important. And so unlike the Silver product, which is bottled at 80 proof or 40% ABV, this product is bottled at 92 proof or 46% ABV. So I know that's not quite still proof, which might be something closer to like 110. I believe when Herradura did their Directo de Alembic, that was bottled at 110 proof. They may be diluting this just a little, but this is a high proof tequila, which is pretty uncommon in the United States. High proof tequila is really gaining in a lot of popularity, and you start seeing more and more brands making a high proof option. Last week, I filmed my second part of my Siempre series, where I had the Siempre Supremo, which is their still proof tequila. So again, still proof tequila is becoming very, very popular, and it's already super popular with tequila aficionados and agave nerds. This product, brand new for my market, and you can see distinctly different packaging than the Silver with the iconic square bottle. All right, let's read the little blurb from the brand about this product. Herradura has been crafting the finest tequilas for 150 years in Amatitan, Jalisco, Mexico. Herradura Blanco, the first tequila crafted under the Herradura brand, has been produced continuously for 153 years. The first product to bear the iconic horseshoe on the bottle, Blanco has been made in the Mexican market for decades and is now available in the US. Herradura Blanco is unaged, creating a crystal clear product and bottled at 92 proof, while Herradura Silver is aged for 45 days in barrel and bottled at 80 proof or 40% ABV. All right. Enough talking about it, let's taste it. And just to show you the difference, see if this will focus. You have a screw top with the built-in pour spout. We already mentioned this product's unaged, so it should come as no surprise that this is water white in color. The brand describes the aroma as an intense presence of cooked and raw agave, fresh herbs, and citrus. Oh, I would say those fresh herbs are really pronounced. So if I had to like rank the flavor on the nose, it'd be like fresh herbs, very, very strong. Then you kind of get that pop of citrus supported by the cooked agave flavors. This is a very nice nose, and I would say it's probably the same intensity as the El Jimador, but completely different flavors. The color is crystal clear with brightness and glints of silver, so that's an elaborate way of saying this product is water white. And the taste on the palate is sweet and clean notes of cooked agave, spices, pepper, and citrus. So let's give it our first taste. So you can feel that bump in proof. It just kind of pangs or just kind of tweaks at your cheeks, but it fades very quickly. Like you feel the bump in proof, and then it immediately just goes straight into the flavor profile. God, this is not boozy at all. That's unbelievable. So sweet and clean notes of cooked agave, spices, pepper, and citrus. Very agave forward. Not quite getting that spice and pepper yet, but maybe I'll get that on the second sip. Still getting that citrus undertone. This is very just pure, clean, cooked agave flavors with some kind of undertones of citrus. Let me give this a revisit. Ooh, there's that spice and pepper. Yep, now my mouth is warmed up to the alcohol. Again, this is 92 proof or 46% ABV. Big jump from that 80 proof, 40% ABV of the El Jimador, but you can't feel it. I mean, yes, you can tell this is a little boozier, but that bottling proof, that alcohol by volume is so well integrated into the flavor profile. This product is absolutely delicious. So second sip, you get a little more spice, a little more pepper. And again, you still have this nice harmony of cooked agave, citrus with that spice and pepper. So I would say this is a very accurate description on the palate. And each of those flavors very much play in harmony, and they kind of come in different waves, each supporting each other. And the finish is described as warm, smooth, and lingering. This has definitely got a nice warming to it. I mean, even more so than the alcohol. It's got a nice warming flavor. It's got a very, very smooth finish. And it's got some lingering flavors. And it hangs around certainly longer than the El Jimador. But, yeah, I mean, I can still kind of taste some of those flavors. This has got a nice finish to it. So again, if you're a fan of the brand, so say, you know, you've been drinking this for years, or you have drank both El Jimador and Herradura Silver, it's fascinating the way this brand kind of lives in between El Jimador Silver and Herradura Silver, because like you get those kind of pure linear agave flavors of El Jimador, obviously just dialed up a bit because, you know, again, this is cooked in traditional ovens. It's going to be a higher quality product than El Jimador, but because it doesn't see any barrel, this is just a really nice silver tequila. I really like high proof tequila, you know, and the fact you're seeing more tequila bottled above 80 proof or 40% ABV is really, really cool. But when you start getting into the real still proof stuff, like it can get a little hot. And I think this product just hits this beautiful sweet spot where, you know, you have a higher proof, you have more flavor. You don't have to dilute it. I mean, this would make an incredible cocktail, hold up really well. You could drink this by itself. If you enjoy those kind of pure agave flavors, this product would be perfect, but I am sure this product is definitely very cocktail oriented. You know, if you want a premium tequila soda, a really premium margarita, that higher proof is gonna be wonderful in this because it's really gonna hold up. But it's not so high proof that it's gonna knock your entire cocktail out of balance. Let's compare the average retail price in my market. The Herradura Blanco is bottled as a 700 milliliter bottle, so not a 750. And again, you see Brown-Forman doing this more and more. 700 milliliter bottles is the standard bottling size in Europe. Brown-Forman's made it very clear that any of their newer products, they're just going to standardize those in a 700 milliliter bottle, so you don't have a different bottle for the US market compared to the European market. I actually can't speak to the Mexican market of whether they use 700 milliliter bottles or 750 milliliter bottles. Someone give me the answer down in the comments, but my guess is probably like the European market. Mexico uses 700 milliliter bottles because it seems like the US is always the one that just does their own thing for no reason whatsoever. This is a 700 milliliter bottle that retails in my home market of Oklahoma somewhere between $41 and $44. So we're now over 40 but under 50. Is this product worth the money? I think it is. No questions asked. If you are a serious tequila drinker and you want pure agave flavor but at a higher bottling proof, this is your product. I mean, this product is so cool. Agave nerds are going to absolutely love this because it just lives in this kind of beautiful sweet spot where you get pure agave flavors with no barrel aging, but bottled at that higher proof under $50. So I think this product is, for the right drinker, is a great bang for your buck. So I always like to talk about who's this product for, right? So if El Jimador is for your kind of novice and beginner, then Herradura Blanco is definitely for your more advanced tequila drinker. It's someone that drinks a lot of tequila, has high expectations, perhaps has a slightly more sophisticated palate, and they want something bottled above 80 proof. Again, El Jimador is one end of the spectrum. Herradura Blanco is the other end of the spectrum for your tequila aficionado. El Jimador Silver is for your novice drinker. Herradura Silver is for your intermediate drinker. And Herradura Blanco is for your advanced drinker. So there you go. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something. If you'd like to support this channel further, please consider becoming a Patreon member or gift me a cocktail through the link below in the description. If you do not care about the video component of this tasting, please consider subscribing to my podcast. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcasts. It's just the audio component of these brand educations and tastings. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you have any feedback for the channel, please leave a comment or shoot me an email. This kind of user feedback is super useful, and I'd love to know like what my viewers want to see on this channel. If you're a supplier and you're interested in seeing one of your brands featured on this YouTube channel, please shoot me an email. I'll leave that also linked below in the description. Thank you so much again for watching, and as always, please drink responsibly.